Boo. Let's see if we can get this to work. See, now it seems to be working. But these aren't connected. Okay, now they're off. Hello, Garrett. Oh, let's see if we can get this going. Now that we've lost everyone interested. Let me pop out this. Put this over here. What's up, Heston? Okay. It seems to be working much better now. Garrett, you have to say hello, hi, or hey, and it'll respond. Let me hit something real quick. Send. All right. See, now it's working. We're back up and running. Good. Great. Let's get everyone back in here. Yeah, I can see the streaming rate. It's 5,000 instead of 200. Yeah, I think I have it set up to like don't chat for like 5 or 10 seconds or something. I gotta tweak it. It's the first time using it. It's working though. So let's hop over here now and turn on some music. Turn on some music. Music. There we go. All right, let me quote tweet this. This is working in all caps and tweet it out. And we'll see what's going on. But we got 12 of you in here, so that's good enough for me. Thank you, Heston. I probably don't have... This is like the 4th time. Like, so incredibly frustrating. But I think I've got it. I think I've got it working. Okay. Let's get down. Let's get going. Let me just text my wife. Aw, man, this would be the perfect time to pull up an It's Working GIF. Hold on, it's way better now. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're going to create a little something in Cinema 4D that we're going to use for this design. So I've already done a little bit of background on how to do this and what I want to do. Hey Danny, yes, we are back. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So if you're not familiar with Cinema 4D, it's a 3D software. I'm just setting up some save files. And this is the full version, but there is a free version you can use. So there's actually a free version in Cinema 4D, not Cinema 4D, in After Effects. Hey John. So there's a light version in After Effects, which is pretty much what I'm going to show you here. This is the actual version, but regardless. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cool background. So what I'm going to do, I've already created this, but I'm going to recreate it now just to show you some cool stuff. So right now I'm going to create a material, and I'm going to make the color a texture of a gradient because we're doing something for the Celtics. So I'm going to hop into these gradients and I'm going to load a preset of this rainbow. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a sky. And I'm going to apply that rainbow to the sky. And actually I need to set up a camera. If you've never used Cinema 4D before, you're probably going to be like hilariously lost, but that's fine. We're just here to play around. So we're going to use this camera as our frame. So everything that's in this box here is going to be what we're going to export as a ping file. So what I want to do though is I want to make this so it's not just blue. So I'm going to change it so it's like this. So now it's rainbow colored. Maybe I do that, maybe I do that. That's better. What if I do like 45 on that? Nope, I don't want to do that. I actually want to. I want to rotate it though. I think I can do that here. Yeah, there we go. So now we're doing this. For some reason my headphones decided to disconnect. Okay, so we got this nice rainbow pattern. What I'm gonna do next is add a disc to the middle. I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees and we're gonna make it huge. Outer radius 600 inches and this is 500 inches. Things are going fine now, Henry, that this is working. I can't see anything because my camera is too far forward. Let's do negative 750. There we go. All right, we got a disc here. We're gonna tweak the disc. We're gonna make it like 64 segments. I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna paste it. Let's do 400 and oops, strike that, reverse it. 400, 300. Paste it, and we're gonna do 200 and 300. Strike that, reverse it. 100, 200. Now we got like a little bullseye going on. I'm gonna go into my materials here. And I'm just gonna make this black. Just like really black. And I'm just gonna copy it to each of these. So now I've got these, I don't know, the targets. So next what I wanna do is I wanna add some text. So I'm gonna add MoGraph, MoText. Here's some nice text here. I really don't want it to have any depth. I just want it to be text. I want to bump it out in front of this disk. Let's do negative 100 inches. Okay, so what do we want the text to say? Object, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown. Celtics. Now let's just make it say Celtics a bunch. Okay, so then we can choose a text instead of abolition because abolition is silly. Toss it in the middle here. Here are all the things. Let's make it, sure, agency's fine, but I want to make it like, nope, don't like that. Nope, no I do not. This works. Hey, I'm just glad this is working and you guys are here and watching me be able to do this because it was super broken. Okay, so I want to add, actually, what am I doing? I'm just going to go like this. One Celtics. Okay, cool. Then we can use this thing called cloner and toss this inside the cloner. And then, let's see, how do we do this? Oh, wrong thing selected. Nightbot, what are you trying to say subscribe for? I restart my computer and my wife stopped watching whatever she was watching on her computer, on the TV upstairs. So I'm assuming that's probably what it was. All right, let's do like 10, 10. That's 101. Oh God. I hit 101 on accident. Oh, hello, Michael. Goodbye, Michael. All right, so I hit 101. So it's super broken. Any Cinema 4D Guru recommendations? I think really if you look at Grayscale Gorilla, they've got a pretty good, really basic course on what to do. And I just completely broke Cinema 4D, so you see it's not responding. I mean, it might as well just... Alright, we're going to try a trick. If something's breaking, you can hit enter and cancel a bunch like this. Like I'm doing right here. And sometimes, I don't know why, it'll kick back in. I don't think this is because I told it to do a count of 10 and then a count of 101 instances. So this is super broken. Alright, well, we're going to force quit that since it completely broke. Alright, I'm just going to open up the file I already made. And I'm going to show you what I did and a little bit behind it. And then we're going to use it as a background for what we're creating. Man, tonight's going super well. Super duper well. Yeah, exactly. Alright, so let me open up, I think it's Shamrock's pattern. Or maybe it's just Shamrock's. Shamrock's. Here it is. Alright. This is what I was trying to make. So if I zoom out here and move around. So you see I've got the stuff in the back. I've got the Celtics that was duplicated only 5 times, not 101. And I've got a couple lights out here. But the main thing is I have this shamrock in the front. So I've got this shamrock right here. And this is a shamrock I took from the Boston Celtics logo on the actual Celtic guy. Their little elf or whatever. So I took that, threw it in here, extruded it, which is not that, which is this, extruded it and gave it a glass texture. So if I render this, you can see it's this cool looking glass shamrock in front of the letters, in front of the words. So this is what we're going to use as our background. But I wanted it to be cool from playing around. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, if this lets me. I'm going to zoom in a bit, and I'm going to shoot this at an angle. Go like this, and zoom back. Now I want to see what this looks like. See, now this looks cool. So you can kind of tell it's a shamrock. You can kind of see the stuff in the background. It's messing around with all this stuff and doing some random things with that. So we're going to use something like this. So I just wanted to show you what I made beforehand. And we're going to drop that into Photoshop. Do I want to save? Sure. Why not? All right, so let's open up Photoshop. I have 2021 and 2020 on here because I've had so many issues with 2021. I just keep going back to 2020. Mainly with things just... when I'm clipping stuff out, it just like breaks for some reason. All right, so let's start fresh 35 minutes into when I wanted to start doing this stream. All right, I'm gonna go with 2000 by 2500. That's what I use generally. So what I've got somewhere is a exported version of what I just showed you. Where? I don't know. It's somewhere on my computer. I think it's on my desktop. I just gotta find it. Where's it in my downloads folder? This is why organization, kids, is important. Because then you can find things. Now I'm just laughing because I don't know where it is. Do as I say, not as I do. 100%. Yes. If I tell you to do stuff, do stuff. I really think I put it in this folder. No, I did not. Yeah. So this is going like super well right now. See, I know what it looks like. And I know when I made it. So it's just a matter of, I really just need to find the right folder. Oh, see, it got buried because I opened something else up. Yes, do as I say, not as I do. Unless I tell you to use quick select, then use quick select. All right, so this is what we exported. Boom. Great. Cool looking dope shamrock. I've already got some photos edited because I wanted to speed things up for you guys, which clearly has failed because we're 30 minutes in and this is what we have. So, what do we want? All right, so now is the time where I think and figure out what we want to do. So I've got here, I've got a photo of him dunking. We've got another photo of him dunking. I've got a photo of him looking to the left. I've got a photo of him looking to the right. So we're gonna do something with these images. So let me just throw them all in here real quick. So they're all in here now. But what I want to do first is I want to set up this background. So let's modify, let's contract. Let's do 100 pixels and let's mask this. Then let's make this a little bit smaller. So I want to make like a little frame for it with a black background. And the reason I want to do that is because I have these shamrocks. So I exported these individually and they look super sweet and I want to use these somehow. And the easiest way to do that would be with like a displacement map. And if I screen them, you can see them, but you can really only see them if there's a black background. So if I like get rid of this, like, you know, that's super cool. So we'll see if we can do something with those a little bit later. But for now, let's create a composition. So I like this photo of Jaylen, so let's make this guy, let's blow this guy up. Maybe put him over here. He's facing outside of the frame though, so maybe I want to put him here so he brings you back inside the frame. I'll go ahead and show you a little bit of what I did on here. Real quick general editing on him. I used my BJD2 action. Did a little bit of selective color. I think I cleaned up some edges with this, and then a hue and saturation layer, tweaked some of the cyans that were bleeding into the shoe. So you can see here, it's bleeding up just a little bit. I didn't do much editing on that one. I did more editing on this guy and this guy. So let's make this guy bigger. Let's put him like there. Then we can put this dunk photo in front of him. Maybe he's staring like this, and then we've got the other guy and he's staring this way. Yep, I like what's going on. The unsharpened filter actually sharpens it. It's an unsharpened mask. So it's sharpening the image, is what it does. Let's take this Jaylen, let's put him here. The funny thing about this photo of Jaylen that I found, it's too big. is that you see on his hand, like, I don't know, the photo I found was like super broken, but I figured I was gonna fade it in anyway, so we'll just do that now. Oh, there. Now you can't even tell. So what I'm doing right now, hey Ryan, is, so Zach, I was gonna create this background, but then it super broke. And then I broke it again and again. So the background, and I'm gonna disable this layer mask and make this bigger. So the background is something I made in Cinema 4D. As you can see here, it's a glass shamrock in front of some Celtics with a rainbow behind it. It's just a cool looking background. It was not doing what I wanted, so we pulled an audible and we're doing something different. Because that's what we're just here to do. We're just here to sort of mess around and see what we like and see what we want to make. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to set up the composition. So usually when I do that, I have big, smaller, smallest. So like then I would take this guy and put him like right here or something like that. You know, maybe bump him up over a little bit, move this guy over here. Setting up a composition, a hierarchy. So when you see this, you see one thing, you see this, then you go here. Maybe Jaylen dunking might look better in the front here, like this. And then let's just put like tiny, tiny, tiny Jaylen on here, like real small. Like why? No, that's funny. He's dunking into his ear. Okay. So you guys wanted me to do a cinematic design with this. So if I was usually doing a cinematic design, I'd probably start off with a black background like this instead. But what I'm going to do, I would start off with black so I can add lighting in, and then the lighting would reflect on the black. But instead, I'm just going to use the colors from this and utilize that. Let me show you a little bit of the editing I did on these guys. So this I did a little bit more extensive editing on. Started off with my yellow fix. Did a selective color, hue and saturation and curves to like mess around with these eyes a bit. Then I actually drew these little spots on to give him like anime eyes on accident. So like this is what his eyes looked like. I'm like, well, that's dumb. So then I just added these ellipses that I blurred. I'm like, look, he has eyes now. You can actually see them. And then I actually screened on a image of TD Garden. So the arena's in there barely, which is just giving him a little bit of color on his eyes. I think the main thing that helps, this editing is using selective color. The selective color to tweak the reds. And I've got a whole other video on how to do this, but essentially I just used a selective color layer, set it to red, and dump down the cyans a bunch on red and tweak the yellows as well. And it's going to give skin tones a more saturated hue, which is what I wanted. So I went ahead and put that in there. And I did the same thing on Jaylen to the left. He already had a special little sparkle in his eye right there, as you can see. And you can see I turned the selective color layer off, which does this. So let me turn all this stuff back on, but like, this is the final of it. Let me go down here, duplicate this, toss this up to the top, and get rid of all the editing. Like, this is the original photo, and this is the edited version. It's like night and day. So we're not going to save that. So we've got Jaylen here. We've got a really cool background that we want to do something with. I don't know what we want to do with it, but we're going to hop in here. We're going to put Jaylen here. We're going to make this guy a little bit bigger. Oh, I know what it's doing. Nightbot is telling me because I had it say every 15 or 30 minutes to tell everyone to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hello, hello, and welcome. All right, so I like this. So we've got a hierarchy here. We've got big Jaylen, smaller Jaylen, and baby Jaylen here. So what I want to do now is you guys wanted cinematic. So what we're going to do essentially is I'm just going to add lighting to all of these guys based on the background. So we're going to see if we can do that. So we're going to start with this Jaylen here in the back. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. The way I like to do it and what I've been using is an inverse curves technique. So I'm going to go to adjustments. How do I want to do this? So I'm going to use a curves layer.
Curves.
Everybody's favorite curves layer. And what we're going to do is we want to boost the highlights. But we're going to do that by boosting the lowlights. So I'm going to raise this up to get rid of to boost the darkest parts. And then we're going to use a blend if, which you can't see because it's on a different monitor. Yeah, John, I got a bunch. I worked on a bunch of random stuff that means absolutely nothing for this stream. Because it's for you guys. I want you guys to be entertained by coming in here. So we're going to take the underlying layer. And we're just going to swing this out by holding down the Option key. And now this curves layer is not affecting anything that's darker than something else.
Starburst. Starburst.
So anything that's 57 and darker is going to not be affected. So now what we're going to do is we're going to inverse this. So now we got rid of it completely. I'm going to apply the layer mask to this layer. I'm going to select this. Let me tell you. Oh, hold on. Let me do this. This is what you guys need. You guys need this. There you are. There. Now you can see what keys I typed. All right. So if you hold down the Option key, it goes down there. So we're gonna. Come on. So we're gonna Command click. Select, modify, contract. Let's do 3 pixels. So what I'm doing is I'm making a tiny, tiny border and inverting it. So now this is only affecting the outer layers of this, and I'm just going to feather it up here like 3 pixels. So I turn it off and on. You can really only see in his face what it's doing. Hello, Elijah. So I want to do that more actually. So I'm going to select, modify, contract. Let's do 6 pixels. I'm going to delete this layer mask. Mask it again. Invert it again. Let's feather it like 4 pixels. So now it's brightening him up. Now, the way someone would usually use this technique is with a 1-color background. But we don't have that. We have this multicolored background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the back layer and I'm going to mask it on top of what we have here, and I'm going to set that to color. And as you can see, that looks terrible. So I'm going to set it to hue. Do I want color or do I want hue? Which one of these do I want? As you can see all this stuff jumping up and down. Regardless, I want to blur this, which is of course under Gaussian blur 10. Yeah, 10 works. This looks cool already because it's blurred out. Okay, so let's set this to color, and then let's apply the same layer mask. So now if we zoom in and turn this on and off, you can see it's bleeding that color onto this. Now I want to feather this a bunch. Let's feather it like 15. Oh, I hit tab. I was like, everything's gone. So I've got color now bleeding into him. So let's copy this. Let's set it to overlay. And let's copy it again and let's set it to screen. Okay, screen looks terrible. Let's pop screen down there. Make it 25%. Set color to 5, overlay to 5. No, I like the overlay. The overlay is doing a lot. So now you can see we've added some color to his face, which is pretty sweet. But what I want is I want it to hit the edge of his face here, like this. But I also want it to hit parts of his face that the lighting would hit, like his nose. So this top layer is overlay. Let me just do this. So this is set to normal at 100%. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to paint with a soft brush, which is what I have here. I'm going to make it small. I'm going to set the opacity to like 20%. Now I'm going to paint in here. I'm going to do 10% opacity. I'm going to just paint on here stuff. Now it's doing something I don't like. So you see how it's on his beard and that looks terrible? I can go in here to the blend if and drag this guy over. And then it's not going to apply to his beard anymore. So I'm just going to keep dragging this over until it's a little bit back. So I'm going to paint on his face now. And it doesn't really matter what this looks like. I'm just trying to paint on stuff that's going to get hit.
Stop. Stop bears.
There we go.
Stop bears.
I really need to get this set up so anytime anyone says da bears. Oh, you said da beard. Okay, well, I still played the Bears because the Bears. So this looks a little goofy now. That's because I have it set to 100%. What I'm really doing is setting up this screen. The Bears do not suck. That is incorrect. So the lighting would hit there. The lighting would hit over here on this side of his face too. You guys are all super mean.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm painting on both sides of his face. Okay, you can like the Titans and like the Bears. We're completely different divisions. Hello, Sam Designs. So I'm just trying to set up what I want this, what is it called? Layer mask to look like. Okay, if you're a Lions fan, then you can be mad. And I'm just going to apply that layer mask to all of these layers. So then it's going to paint on his face now as well. That looks, I don't know if I like how that looks or not. Because it's like reflecting off of his skin, but not the way I want. Let's blur this one to like, let's blur this to the moon. Predict the Bears record for next season. Honestly, I thought we were going to go 8-8 this year, and we went 8-8. I got to see who we draft. I got to see who we play. I got to see where Deshaun Watson ends up. I got to see how many picks we get rid of to have Deshaun Watson come to the Bears. Okay, so we got some lighting on him here. What I want to do, though, is I want to add some general... I want to add some more lighting overall on the outside. So I'm just going to use a normal curves layer.
Curves.
And I'm going to change the blending if mode, drag in the outside a bunch, and then I'm going to invert the him here. Heston, I honestly hate doing jersey swaps. I only did that because Obi Toppin's my man. Obi Toppin's my guy. He went to the University of Dayton, which is where I went to school, so a lot of love for Obi. I also did that jersey swap just after having nasal surgery, so I was on meds while doing it, so it was the only way I was going to be able to do it. So what I'm doing now is I just have this curves layer, and I'm just painting on to paint a little bit around the edges, and I'm going to do the exact same with a curves layer dropping down. Did I just make this normal? Yeah, okay, we'll do a normal curves layer. Steven, you go to school in Kettering? Where do you go to school? Do you go to Alter? You go to Fairmont? Are you in high school and where do you go? Oh, wonderful. I love anyone who can come check out what I do from overseas, from Brazil, from Australia, from New Zealand. It's always surprising how many people can see your work. All right, so I've got some general lighting on him. I want to do something I like to do. I want to make a new layer. Oh, you go to the Modern College of Design. Okay. SAA of sorts. Yeah, I know all about those guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this layer with a mask of white, and then I'm going to blur it. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to, if I set it to screen, it just gives him like this glow behind him. Ryan loves SAA. Ryan went to SAA. So we've got this here. I blurred it way too much though. So let me go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. What did I blur that at? Oh, I blurred it at 30. I'm gonna blur it at like 5. And then set it to screen. So now there's this slight haze behind him, which is duplicating what we did here with the haze on the inside. Now I'm going to duplicate this inside haze, and I'm going to feather that like, I don't know, 12. So now we've really got some dramatic lighting. So this is what we've done. Man, you guys just like tuning in from the UK at 1 a.m. is amazing. So let me get rid of all this stuff. So this is what we started with. We started with this, and with a couple curves layers, and this layer I'm deleting, we've turned it into this. So we got before, after. So you can see what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to basically blanket him in light in the same color as behind him, which is what we've done for the first one. We're going to do the exact same thing for these other guys. So you've got this Jaylen here, and I'm actually going to copy all these layers and apply them all to this guy here. Wonder if I can do this. You can see what I'm typing. So, you know, I like to do these live for you guys. Sometimes it's hard to make something in an hour and a half, so I might do this a couple days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and then spread out one design over that, or try and make one design in the time I do it in one day. So I want to know what you guys think. And I'm trying to put up this poll, but I don't know if it'll work. So there's this thing on Nightbot. Yeah, it totally did not work. So I'm gonna remove this message. Okay, so I'm taking everything we did for the first one. Thanks, Ryan. And I'm going to delete all the layer masks, because the layer mask we use all apply to that one image of him and not this other one. So I'm going to invert all of these so we can't see them, so we can actually see what we're doing. And if I was someone who was, you know, if I was someone who was lame and wanted to name layers, you know, I can go in here and name this lightning, lighter, and name this one lighter edge, light edge, and then name this light edge, and then name this light, and then name this shadow. But I'm not one to do that. Okay, so we got those. So what do we got here? So what we want to do is we want to hold down the command key, and then we want to select modify, contract, 6 pixels. We did 6 for the other one. This is a smaller image, so I'm just going to do 5. Now we can mask it again, invert the mask, and set a bleed on it. And then we can duplicate that layer mask to this one, but we want this one to bleed 500 on accident. Let's bleed it 12. So now we're brightening up the edges of him. This one here is for lightning. Light. There, we'll name it light. So for this one, we're going to paint around the edges as well with a light brush. And this is where, like, to be honest, like a Wacom tablet would come in handy, because with that you're doing stuff with pressure, you're doing stuff with different angles. It would actually flow a little bit better. So a lot of people, if you look at their work and they do like crazy stuff like this with lighting, they might be using a Wacom tablet or Wacom, however you want to say it. Like Jonathan Ogstow, if you follow him, he does some really nice work. He does some incredibly great lighting. He's got a Wacom tablet that he uses. So that might be something in the future that I might want to get. Wacom monitors are even cooler, because you can just draw right on the monitors. And I can do that with like an iPad, I think. They might have gotten rid of that. Yeah, they are expensive. So you would definitely need, you know, I would just write it off though as a business expense and be like, here, Mr. Taxman, I need you to pay me for this. Okay, so we've got the general lighting set up. So now I want to do this, right? No? We want to take this, we want to contract it a bunch, 10 pixels, and then delete the layer mask. No, we want to copy this layer mask. Deselect. Yeah, that's what we want. But we want it to bleed a bunch. Why don't I check and see what I did here? I bled at 15. Okay, we'll go here and we'll bleed at 15. That's the wrong layer. Let's try this again. 15. Okay. So we'll apply that to here, apply that to there. So now you can see we've got some stuff going on. But again, like we said, I want this to apply to all areas that would hypothetically be getting hit with this light. So I want to paint here. I was like, that looks terrible because it's not even blurred. All right, we'll go here, do this. One important thing to do when you're creating something is to save.
Save as.
So we're gonna save because I haven't done that yet. Jaylen Brown. We'll save this. It's a Photoshop file. Boom. The funny thing about that thing that pops up is it actually then saves, and it pulls up the save as command. So if I hit it, it saves it up at the top. Man, this looks terrible because that's what this layer looks like. All right, let's apply that to this, get rid of that. That looks better. Let's apply it to this one, and let's apply it to this one. Turn all this stuff back on, delete this layer. So that's better. We got some lighting here, lighting here. Now, theoretically, you would darken the whole subject and then you would then add a bunch of light back in. But he's already fully lit, so we're just adding more light on top of light. Which is kind of iffy, but we're just experimenting and playing around. So let's add all of these now to him dunking. Same deal. So just say in chat, since I can't get this poll to work, Would you rather see me make one design in an hour and a half if I do these in hour and a half sessions, or would you rather me, you know, do it in half of it one day, half of it another day? Just let me know in the chat, and then that'll help me figure out what I want to do in the future with these. Let's mask this out. I don't want to mask these out. I'm just going to turn them off. Okay, so 4 people said full in one day, so we're probably just going to do full in one day, which is fine. You know, that's why I wanted to cut these guys out using the quick select.
Quick select. Quick select.
You guys deserved that twice on accident. So I did a bunch of stuff ahead of time just so we'd have more time for me to talk to you about how I do things. So let me delete this layer. It's the best one, Henry. It's the first one I made. So we want to go to select, modify, contract. I might start earlier on different days, Jordan. So I might do 7 o'clock on Tuesdays. I'm trying to make this a pattern that people can remember. Sort of like a TV show, so you guys know when to tune in. But I can, you know, maybe a different day I'd go on at like 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 3 hours earlier. Alright, what are we doing? I don't want to do that. Alright, so we've got this curves layer. We're going to feather it like 3 pixels. We're going to duplicate it and do that. And we're going to feather it, I don't know, 6 more. Oh yeah, the signature is great.
Hey!
That's great. Okay. So we've got some light here now. So we're going to paint some light back in along the edges here. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to just make it so there's a harder edge of lighting, and then that generally just gradually bleeds into the rest of the design. Oh yeah, it really helps when you're trying to do something with, especially if you're creating like a fake sports card, using signatures. I mean, that's where I get the signatures from, is from sports cards. Yeah, so this is, you can see what it's doing. It's barely doing anything, but it's important. Same thing with the shading. Now this might do a little bit more. I'm gonna bump this up to like 3. And I'm gonna tweak this up a little bit. I actually want this to really show on here. And what I'm incidentally doing is I'm adding detail back into these shadows. So you can see I just turn this off and on. It's just like, boom, more contrast immediately. Boom. So we'll do that. I don't have a boom. Oh, I have a. So we're incidentally making it look cooler. So now we're gonna take the dunk. Nope, we're just gonna copy this and put it up there. Except I might as well only do it on one. Oh, didn't mean to do that. There we go. We'll turn this on, set it to new. Okay. Turn that off. Oh, whoops. Danny, the best way is the way you just said. I don't want anyone to yell at me for showing you how to do it. But I get all of my images from Google. I'm not going to show you how to do it, because I feel like someone will get mad and they'll cry about it, which I know you're probably upset about. But they all come from Google. So what you can do is, I'm going to tell you what to do. Just use the Google Advanced Search menu under Images. So just Google Advanced Image Search, And then in that, just search for a player name and then do a minimum of like 4 megapixels or 6 megapixels or megabytes. I think it's megapixels. I never download anything that's low res. So these are all really high res photos that I use. Let's see, what were we doing? They used to have it built in, but now you have to go to the advanced Google search to do it, but it still works. So I just bookmark that, and anytime I want to do something, I go back to that. So we're gonna paint the light in here. It's like real dramatic. I don't like how that looks. Okay, let's paint stuff back up here. Is even painting? Yes, no? Yeah, you can really tell mainly on the, well, I have it. No, okay, well, that's fine. Okay. I'm gonna paint some stuff back in. I'm gonna go in here and just tweak the blacks a little bit. I have a Mac, which means I did not build it because it is a Mac. This is my computer. So it's a 2019 15-inch. It replaced a 2012 15-inch, so it was a major upgrade. It's an i7, 32 gigs of RAM. Really, it has 32 gigs of RAM. That's the main thing. Because then it doesn't lag and stutter as much as a computer with less RAM. Because when you use up all your RAM, your computer goes to your hard drive, and that takes time. So this way, it's not using up as much of the hard drive, because your hard drive needs to spin. Well, not anymore, because I guess they're solid state, but it still takes some time. It's like working at your desk and then having to go to a file cabinet. It's that amount of time that is the difference. See, if I really wanted to get into it, I could go really close here. But I'm just gonna kind of do that. Okay, let's get rid of that layer and apply this to the actual layers we want to apply it to and turn these back on. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. That looks super cool. All right, so one thing I didn't do is I didn't make a layer down here. Fill it with white. And then what do? We filter Gaussian blur. 3 pixels. And then we apply the same layer mask. Perfect. Now some of these effects are a little harsh, like this is a little too harsh for my liking. So I might take one of those off. It's still a little harsh. I think I know why. I just need to tweak these with the blend if. So anything that's darker than this 23 or 28 is not going to be affected by this layer. And it's going to blend to do that. That's why I held down the Option key. So I like that a little bit better. I own an Apple computer because I worked at a Apple reseller store for 4.5 years in college, in high school. So if anything breaks, I know exactly I know how to fix it. I don't need to rely on anyone else. I essentially worked at an Apple store, but we didn't have one around here. It was called the Mac Depot. It was in Kettering, Ohio. So let's Gaussian blur this one. Set it to screen, which I didn't do here, but it's white, so it doesn't really matter if I set it to screen. But I'm actually going to duplicate this and apply it to this. Delete the layer mask and set this to color. Is that what I wanted? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. It's funny when I hold down space a bunch because it just destroys this. So I want to get rid of this. Maybe I want normal. Do I want normal? Yes. Yes, I do. All right, let's turn this back on. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm making that white not white, and I'm actually making it the colors that are around it, just because it's gonna look better. Let's paste this here. Again, we're gonna
Save as.
gonna make sure to save. I usually do that after I do something important like that. So far I like what's going on. I don't like this floating here. I want to do something about that, but I don't know what. But I got a bunch of these shamrocks just hanging out that I made in Cinema 4D. So let's just put a shamrock on here. So if I'm doing something for personal reasons, which this is just personal for the most part, I get my images from Google. If I'm doing something for a client, I usually have them supply me with the photos. That way I'm not liable for where they get them. I design everything in 300 DPI in case I wanted to print it out. So you can see here, this is 2000 pixels by 2500 pixels at 300 DPI, which translate to 6.666 inches by 8.33 inches. So if I wanted to upscale this, everything's a smart object, so it'll upscale, and then I can change it to an 8x10 pretty easily. I'm liking these questions you're throwing out here. What do I want to do? I want to do that. So freelancing I kind of fell into because of COVID. But the only way that I've been successful with it is based on relationships I've built with people and just developing a portfolio of work that people would want to see. Like, I was a graphic designer doing car advertisements before I did anything sports-wise. So I wasn't going to get any work being a graphic designer making car dealership ads for social media. So I did a 365-day project, which a lot of people know about, but essentially starting January 1st to January 14th in 2018, I did a 365-day project where I made a new design every day for 365 days. And I did that. I took 2 weeks off to get married. But I did that and pretty much got crazy good in Photoshop, or crazy better in Photoshop, and it allowed me to add sports stuff to my portfolio. Jordan, I like that. Would you say that it is fire? Is a very important question. My old boss, before I got laid off for COVID, said he was going to come in here and just spam fire emojis the whole time. I'm trying to figure out how to make this look how I want. Amir, are you talking about this shamrock? Steven, yeah, Steven, I'm from Centerville. I live in Springboro, so I went to Centerville High School. I went to Sinclair and did their 2-year program, and then I went to UD and got my bachelor's there. So these are actually all shamrocks I made in Cinema 4D and exported. It's the same shamrock, just at different angles. So I created these using just a basic Illustrator file. I do have a subscription to Envato, which I use for a lot of stuff. I'm really trying to figure out how I can get this to look how I want. Oh, hey, Lincoln Edits. Man. See, this is where, as a designer, you can just sit and just stare at something and try and figure out what you want to do. I really like the coloring on this. Like, this looks sweet. All right, we're going to turn this back on. That's better. We got a little bit of depth up here now. He's branching off here. That's good. I'm going to group these together. Once I get some of this stuff done, I'm going to group it together. Back, Jaylen. Oh, nice, Steven. Where are you originally from? Lincoln, we're just full of tips here. The biggest tip of all is that you should use the
Quick select.
to cut out players because it's the best. And it's better than the pen tool.
No, God!
Okay, so you're close. You're from Indy. That's close by. Garrett, you did not you just threw up in your mouth.
That's what she said.
All right, I'm gonna do something I think is cool. So I'm gonna hide all this stuff. I usually work off a picture of a player first, Lincoln. I usually do the background I usually do, if you look at any of my stuff, it's usually like a stadium or it's a scene they're in. This is different than what I'm usually doing. Yeah, Jordan, I might go back to do that. I would use a
Displacement map.
and that would allow me to distort the parts on the inside, and that's the reason I made the shamrock. So we'll see if they work. King Messi, when I was doing my 365, it took however long it took for me to make something I liked, and I did that working a 9-to-5 job. So I worked a 9 to 5, and then I came home, and then I made something. On the weekends, I spent a lot more time on it because I just had a lot more time. But most of them are like 2, maybe 3 hours, just sort of like picking at it while I watch TV. Lincoln, I would just search on Google. That's what I would do, and just try and find one that's high res. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this background, and I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to not camera raw.
That's fire, bro.
Anytime anyone gives a fire emoji, I'm going to do that. That's your warning. Okay, so I'm going to go to filter, and I'm going to go to lens correction. And I'm going to use this completely wrong. I'm going to use it how I like to use it, which is by distorting the crap out of things, like this. So we'll distort that. I don't know, we'll hit this button, hit that button, and then hit enter.
That's fire, bro.
Heston, you only get one. Okay, so now I've got this cool warping background instead of the other background. Let's duplicate it. Let's make it bigger like that. And then let's go in here and let's knock out. Yeah, things are getting weird. Yeah, we're getting real weird now. So what you can do in the blend if style is you can turn off channels. I use the quick select because the
Quick select.
because in the end I feel like you're going to use select and mask, and it's easier to just make that first initial selection before you actually go in and do the select and tweak the selection. Let's see here. So in the layer styles, you can turn on and off channels, which allows you to do stuff like this, which is really cool. But I don't want to do that. Hello, hello. Okay, so let me go back here, go back to this, make this like 10. Because I want to like kind of distort it, so then these guys are in front like this. Like that's cool. Okay, so about halfway through. I like how Nightbot just completely shut you down. That's funny. You were timed out. I gotta fix that. Sorry about that. So Rob, a lot of what I do, it depends on what the client needs. So like, sometimes they need just a template. Sometimes they need just a photo manipulation. So like some stuff I've made recently might not even have text on it, and it's just photo manipulation.
That's fire, bro.
A lot of the times it's more informative, so it'll actually have text on it. So that's what's important. You know, that's what I say is important for kids. If you're learning design, figure out typography, because you know, you can be good in Photoshop, but as soon as you put words on there, it's going to be very apparent how good you are, or your experience is going to show immediately. Hold on. Yeah, I can show you some client work real quick if you want while I'm looking for some assets. Yeah, do you even type, bro? I made some cool stuff today that hopefully will get posted depending on who wins the Super Bowl. I made this recently through STN for Jackie Robinson's birthday. So I made that. I do a lot of work with STN Digital. They're just a company that works with different teams and different companies and helps them do social media stuff. So I made that. If you go to my Twitter, I retweet pretty much everything that I make. Something cool though that I'll show you as an example of some work that does or does not need type. Bennett from the 3D stuff, I use Cinema 4D, which I tried to show at the beginning, but I super broke it. So that did not work out. So I made these. Just depending on who won the AFC and the NFC. These are made through STN Digital as well for Sunday Night Football on NBC. Cinema 4D is not. It is its own app, Bennett, but there is a light version through After Effects. I've got a video on YouTube on how to make 3D text in Cinema 4D Lite. Check that out and it'll show you how to do stuff. So these are graphics I made depending on who won. So I had the struggle of rooting for the Packers, so this graphic would get posted, or being a Bears fan. I chose to be a Bears fan.
The Bears. The Bears.
All right, so what I want now is usually once I'm like halfway through a project or something, I start to add some adjustments on top. So like I'll add some color lookups. I might add a
Radiant map.
Gradient map or two. And what these will do is these will just sort of glue everything together. So ones I like to use are this 2395. Sometimes I use this one set to 25 with a soft light. Let's take this whole background again. Oops. Yes, Gabe. That's 100% what that is. blow this up here. Set this to soft light. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. So Gabe is talking about Saber. And let me make this bigger so you guys can see what I'm doing. Video Copilot is a great resource for doing anything and everything in After Effects, motion in general. And they have a plugin called Saber you can download for free. And Dunder Mifflin is a part of Sabre as well. But it allows you to do cool things, and you can outline text like I did with Save As.
Save as.
But it makes... Check it out online. It does really cool stuff. Okay. So I really hate this right here. Like this transition. I hate that we can see this. So what we're going to do... Front Kalen, see? This is why you don't name things. You're just going to name it wrong. Let's add some text. Yeah, I watched like a video on how to use it. So let's just do like his name really big and Dharma Gothic because it's the only typeface you should ever use because it's Dharma Gothic. Of course, you can't really see what's going on, so we gotta make it white, and then we're gonna rotate it a little bit just because that's how type works. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. See, this is the part of this design where I then start to look and see what other people do in scenarios like this. So let me pull this back, Jaylen, up and over. That's good. Save. I think we need some flares. Well, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for lens overlays. We need some lens overlays and we need some flares. That'll really bring this thing together. So I have a bunch of lens overlays that I have, like this. And a lot of these I got for free through either Creative Market or the Hungry JPEG or other websites that sometimes have weekly downloads you can get for free. One of them was lighting overlays, like this. Let me go like this and go like that. Set this to color. Colorize this. We can go to adjustments and levels, and we can do that to make it less bold. I usually use Bridge for my photo app to look and see what I have, but I've been using just the Finder recently. Oops. Let's color this one now. Whoops. Set this to screen. Let's blow this one up this way. Yeah, there we go. Look, more lighting effects. And I go to adjustments and I hit levels and I move this over because it gets rid of any sort of haze. So this is looking kind of cool. I know what I want to do. In front of these two, I'm going to type in brown. Let's use a different font. What font? Good question. Do you guys have a font you like to use all the time? Hello, McKay. See, this is like techie and weird, so I want to find a weird and techie font. Comic Sans. Nah, Bennett, like, that makes sense. I was going to incorporate those, whatever they're called. I'm just going to hit the default button. I'm going to use tungsten. It's a good example. I was going to hit the default button. I was going to use those shamrocks. They're not showing up as well as I want them to. Bayboss it would be good as well. I use that. I used it. I was using that in my personal branding for a while. Okay, now watch this. Especially you, Garrett. Garrett, this is gonna blow your mind. If you have text, you can change the fill to 0. And then you can go down to effects, stroke, and then you can change the stroke and it's gonna make outlined text. I know you personally have been asking how to do that, and that is how. It's that easy. I know your mind is blown. You're sitting at home and you're just like, how did he do that? Okay, so I'm gonna group that together and set it to overlay, which is gonna make it look like that. Let's duplicate it and, I don't know, convert it to a smart object and then blur it for no reason. 12. Man, I gotta fix that spam. It keeps timing out Bennett for no reason because he said 4 emojis. I gotta fix that. It's super strict. 12. Delete this. Duplicate this. Gaussian blur to 3. 3. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Wow. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna break this. Okay, there we go. So now it's kind of like neon, but not really, but just like subtly his name is there. So then maybe we'll copy new layer via smart object and throw this up at the top. And put this back behind it. And go into this smart object and change this text to say Jaylen. And then save that and go back and then boom. Now it says Jaylen up at the top. So we're going to set this to, now we're going to set it to overlay still. We're going to pump it up, duplicate, Gaussian blur, set to 12. I'm just going to put it up there. You can barely see it, but you and I both know it's there. It's our little secret. Alright, so this is Jaylen text, J text, whatever. Brown text. I have gotten in the habit of sort of naming things in case someone needed to do this. They can see some sort of stuff in here. Let me save. McKay, I do 2000 by 2500, as you can see here. I do that. It's a 4:5 ratio, which is what Instagram uses. So I make it so it's going to go on Instagram. So I just make it at that. Some people use 3000 by 3750, but I'm a wild child, so I like to do what I want. Okay, we got some cool stuff going on here. I'm bigger than you. All right. Oh, you're just baiting me.
That's what she said.
To say that. I accidentally just inverted this, which I don't want to do, but it kind of looks cool. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to add some more flares. So how often do you convert your images to smart objects? I edit all of my images individually before I throw them into a design. So by nature, they're automatically smart objects. So everything is a smart object. So if you are asking how often, the answer is 100% of the time. Because the whole point of a smart object is that you can go from start to finish and go back to the start easily. So for instance, here's this back Jaylen. I can go in, I can turn all these layers off, of course, but I can also go into this layer here and I can turn off all of the settings. And then I can go in here and I can even go and change all the camera on here. And this is a smart object too. So original image, nested inside of a smart object, nested inside of a smart object, which then I'll save out and put in the file. So now we have this regular photo of Jaylen, but that's not what we want because we want it to look cool and look like this. So everything I use is a smart object. The only time I won't use a smart object is if I'm using the stamp clone tool, but I make a separate layer to do all the stamping and cloning. And then I can turn it into a smart object if I want. So hypothetically, since Garrett uses a bigger file size, I can do this and just say 3000 by 3500 or 3750. It'll just change the image size and then it will be that size. And everything is a smart object except for those background layers we blurred, which don't matter because they're just going to blur. But if you do that, it's going to then redo all of the filters and everything you did, and it's going to break your computer like this. Actually, hold on. There. See? Now we're at this size for no reason. But it's bigger and the quality is just the same. The file's just bigger. I'm gonna go back to what I usually work with just because. Okay, so what I want to find is some flares because I'm gonna add some more backlighting to some of these guys. So like, I've got this flare, which I'm super breaking things. I have a bad habit of just like throwing things into my composition and then just completely breaks all sorts of links. So I've got this flare that Voodoo would use. And then I'm going to just put that behind Jaylen with the dunk. And then I'm just going to play around and move it however I wish. I'm mainly using this for this sort of haloing that's on it. It's a good idea. We should probably save.
Save as.
And then I'll take this same layer. I'm using this layer as a gradient map, kind of. A gradient map.
Gradient map.
It makes a gradient map sound way more badass than it actually is. What am I looking at? Okay, so this flare, we want to apply this to that to give it the color of that, and we want to set this to screen. But you can see it's got a boxy edge around it. That's because we need to add a levels layer to it. And just drag it in a little bit. And there you go. But it's got a little bit of a line on it from the original flare. So I'm going to just blur it just a little bit. I don't know, 3 pixels. So now you see we've just got this sort of light behind him. And I can tweak it however I wish. However I wish. There we go. Yeah, I can do that, right? Convert it to a smart object and then hit screen. Cool. So now I'm just going to duplicate that a couple times. Man, it's real mad. It's getting hella mad at it. Like, what are you doing? Why are you the way you are? I hate that so much. So it's selecting everything that was in it. So it's like selecting that whole background. But if I take this and just turn it to a smart object again, then it will let me do whatever I want. We'll put that there. We'll duplicate it again and put it behind the very back J. See, but this isn't exactly what I want. Garrett has jokes. He's real funny. I don't have a sarcastic laugh. Oh, but I have this, Garrett. Garrett's making a joke because my license plate is genius. In the Ohio O plates, my license plate is the word genius. It's because I used to work at that Apple store, like I was telling you. So I'd work there, and I had a teacher in high school who called me a genius all the time, sort of sarcastically, is just sort of like I know how to use Photoshop thing. I was in a block class in high school, which basically meant I actually went to a different school. So I drove to a different school at lunch, and then when I was a junior, and then when I was a senior, I went in the afternoon, and I took design classes at a different school. It was called digital design. So it was called digital design. It was at Fairmont High School in Kettering, Ohio. So I basically half my days was doing digital design stuff or graphic design. So that is why I had such a good grasp of how to use Photoshop before I went to college, because we used it there. But she would sarcastically call me genius. So my license plate before that was GEN1U5, because I was in high school and super cool. All right, so this is looking kind of cool. Let's move over. Where are you at? Let's tweak this a little bit. So I'm gonna use another levels layer, drag it over. I wanted these flares to be bigger, but they're taking up a little too much room. That's better. Okay, one thing I really like to do on my graphics at the very top is use a selective color layer, which I don't have a hotkey cool thing for. But then I can go in and say choose the green. And if you look at a color wheel light, drag, color wheel. So if you look at a color wheel, if you basically, so I want to bump the greens. So greens. So if I get rid of magenta, it'll boost the greens. A good way to remember that, some of this stuff. One, you can take a college class, but green and magenta are paired together. They're opposites in the light spectrum. So it's like the Incredible Hulk. He's green and purple. Easy to remember. Red and cyan are opposites because they're 3D glasses, and then yellow and blue are opposites. Because it's yellow and blue. Like Michigan, and Michigan sucks. So if I go in here and take away magenta, it boosts the greens. I can add a little bit of black. I can add cyan and magenta to it. It's going to boost the colors there. If I want to boost the yellows, we just talked about it. I can get rid of blue, but blue is cyan and magenta, so I would lower both cyan and magenta, and it'll boost the yellows, but I don't want to do that because I want to keep some of that goldenness to it. If we boost the reds, I don't want to do that. Sometimes I'll add cyan if I want to make the skin tones look more natural. So like right now, they're like, actually looks fine there. But like they look, if I put this back, his skin looks real orange, which it isn't. So I can just boost the cyans and then it tweaks it like that. Okay. So we got about 10 more minutes because I'm going extra because we super broke this at the beginning. So for me, I went to college because I needed more of the design knowledge. I knew how to use Photoshop, but on the technical side, I was great. But on the creative side, like I was lacking. So like I needed more forceful experience doing design. Otherwise, I would just know how to use Photoshop. And there's a ton of kids out there. I'm going to call them kids. There's a ton of teenagers out there who are like stupid good in Photoshop. And I can't wait to see what they do when they're my age, because they're going to be doing crazy stuff. They're going to get jobs right out of college. No problem. Looking at this design in this small area, this front Jaylen. Front Jaylen? No, I don't want the front. I want the back Jaylen. I really just want to move him over like... Oh, it's the wrong Jaylen. I thought I picked the right one. Really what college will teach you is... They don't teach you how to use the programs really in college. They teach you the basics of how to use them. But after that, it's design. Theory about design. You know, me developing a designer's eye that I wanted to move him over a little bit and up a tiny bit instead of having him where he was because it was bugging me how it looked. Okay, so I like where we're at. I'm going to save this. I'm going to find one more thing. I've got some dust textures that I want to put over this. Specifically, is this the one I want? Do I want that? No, I don't want that. I want that one? No. I'll do this one. Boost this up to the top. I'll put it there. Put it here. Screen it. Do this. Can't even tell what I did. Save. Yeah, Garrett's in college right now, so he'll have a good grasp of what he's doing now. If you go to college, it'll also be easier for you to get an internship, which I never did, which I wish I did. Okay, so we're almost done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple last things. All right, so I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to merge all layers together. I'm going to right click. I'm going to create a smart object. I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to camera raw. We're going to do some camera raw edits to this real quick. I'm basically just going to add a little bit of exposure to it, add the vibrance, maybe a teeny bit of clarity or decrease.
I don't know who Jay Cutler is.
Thank you, Rob. That is insanely large. See how big that was? Oh, that was amazing. Oh, and it played too. That was so good. Right on theme. Okay, and then I'm going to go down here to optics / geometry / effects. He did play at Vanderbilt. He's also from Santa Claus, Indiana. Optics, there. I want to just store it at like 4, 5. Let's just store it at 5. Tips on improving in camera raw. It's really just knowing what works more than improving, I would say. So like, I was messing around with stuff and trying to see what other people do. Just watch videos of other people editing. Just play around and see what stuff does, and then you'll know, oh, if I do this, it gets darker. All right, so I'm going to save. I'm going to save as. Oops, I'm going to save as. I don't know how you guys export stuff. I just hit Shift Option Command S and then go to original and just save out a ping file. We're not done. I want to try something in the last 5 minutes. So we're going to save this out as Jaylen Brown. I'll just save it to my desktop. We're going to open Cinema 4D back up. Yeah, Alex, I'll name layers if it's for a client, but if it's for me, I'm just going to do whatever I want. Yeah, Garrett. Crazy Ira, go to your room. I majored in visual communication design, which is graphic design. But yeah, I actually have an associate's degree in graphic design and then a visual communication design bachelor's degree. All right, so we're gonna open up this Shamrock thing. I'm gonna put the camera back. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'll show you what I'm doing in a sec. I'm going to add a plane. And I don't know if this is going to work, to be honest. Put this there. Put this here. I'm going to make a new material. And I'm going to have the color of the material. I'm going to load an image. What image am I going to load? I'm going to load this ping file we just exported. And I'm going to hit yes. And then I'm going to drag that onto this plane. So now if I hit render, look at his dumb face right there. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so now I can take this shamrock I have and I can move it around, rotate it a bit. See, I knew these shamrocks would come in handy. And we'll put a shamrock here. Maybe we make it a little bit smaller. And this is what's going to elevate this design. Are these really dumb looking shamrocks just like being all over the place. Now this is Cinema 4D. So this is a file I already had ready to go. So I just wanted to see if after the fact we can throw in some of these. Whoops. Some of these shamrocks after the fact. And this might not export how I want it to, but I wanted to give it a try. Let's rotate this back just a little bit. Because if this works, it's going to look sweet. Alright, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, see, so then these are like distorting them like crazy and looks awesome. See, I should just have it look like that though. Like, that makes me just want to do this whole thing in here. So I can fix that. So let me go like this. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Do this, do that. So now we got like this sort of photo frame that we like accidentally just like made. You can use a light version of Cinema 4D and After Effects, which is what I would recommend, because they mainly have a just package you can download and purchase, but it's really expensive. Like thousands of dollars. And then you have to, if you want it to look great, you have to get different renderers like Octane. So I think this is good. It's like, that looks cool. So now what I want to do is I want to render and save this out. Okay, let's see what this looks like. All right, and now we're rendering. And this will take X amount of minutes. So to finish it up, we'll see what this looks like. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm happy that you guys were quick to select, to choose your time and spend it with me. Yeah, I'll tell her thanks for not watching her show. She did apologize. But I've tested this out. It could have been my computer, it could have been that. I'm assuming it was probably just that. But we're almost done, so that's super fun. Well, it wasn't Cinema 4D messing up, because this is rendering out fine. You guys are still here. You can see this stuff fine. Dayton just tipped off. This is perfect timing. Go watch Dayton beat Davidson. Duquesne. Oh, Duquesne's good though. We'll see. I think I played all of these. Hopefully once I post it, people will post a bunch of fire emojis.
That's fire, bro.
Jordan, I appreciate it. I'm glad you got a lot of information out of it. Steven, I miss Obi as well. Come back next week. King Messi, I'm not going to do it again. Oh, yeah. Kirk Cousin swaps. Oh, it's 2 a.m. Jordan, go to bed. You're crazy. So next week, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'll probably do this again. Here, just another design. I've done polls and everyone says just do another design. I'll probably try and stick to a specific type of design, like cinematic or something like that. This isn't going to work because I didn't hit a button. Hold on. Render. Add render queue. There we go. Alright, that's just rendering, so we don't need that. So we can just hang out here and chat. But I'll do something next week. I don't know who or what. I did Jaylen Brown because I was going to try and do something very green, but this ended up just being like a rainbow design. So I'm always open to whoever. If I could find good photos of Obi Toppin, I'll probably just do Obi Toppin because Obi Toppin's the guy. But while we wait for this to render to see if this works, I'll field whatever questions you guys have. Oh, Bradley Beal would be good. Yeah, he's playing really well. I've used Photoshop 3D software, Jordan, which is I've used After Effects, which if you know what you're doing, it works. It was very confusing to me, but I wanted to try Cinema 4D. And basically what I did was during my 365-day project, I used that to force myself to try stuff. So I would use one set to try and do stuff in Cinema 4D. I would do one set and I would try and do something in After Effects or motion. Dan, skincare routine. I use a 5-in-1 men's lotion. I use a glycolic clay face wash. Let's see what else. I wash my face. That is my skincare routine. You know what, Henry? I don't know. Let me go to the Draft Network. Let me take a look. We need a design of Dan. I gotta get assets of Dan first, and then we can do that. Alright. I'm gonna start a mock draft right now. Teeth care routine. I brush my teeth. Any design related questions, I should say. No, we don't do that. Okay, who do I want the Bears to draft? Okay, I want to draft for the Bears. I'm just going to do one round. This is who I want them to draft and who they're probably going to draft. See, this says Zach Wilson going to the Falcons at 4. I didn't really know he was that good. Okay, so according to the Draft Network, we're probably going to draft Trey Lance. If I'm being honest, we'll probably, if we don't get Deshaun Watson or a free agent, we're probably going to draft Trey Lance. If we don't, I want an offensive tackle. That's pretty much it. Because we need an offense. We need our offensive line. You have a project coming up for class to review designer in the Dayton area. Yeah, you should do me. The people who work there probably know who I am. I know some people do that work there. Who is the project for? What is your teacher's name? Yes, Garrett. I did know that. Oh yeah, Matt Fleck, yeah. I don't know if I've ever talked to Matt, but we both know each other just from being designers in the Dayton area. And we're connected on LinkedIn. So we got about 3 more minutes on this render. So if you guys want to, let me think. Dan, what are you talking about? Just for that. I forgot. So if I don't turn things off, it plays them all at once. So I can't go back there. Or your ears will explode again. I apologize. That was bad. Okay. Let's see here. Hello, Khalil. Yeah, I mean, that was bad in my ears. I think Brad probably looks like the Celtics logo. Oh, yeah. Well, I can go here. Hold on.
The Bears. The Bears.
There, this only had 2 things turned on extra, so it's easier. This is what we're looking at. Can't click that, that's wrong. So this is just 1 frame. So this is gonna take 7 minutes to do 1 frame. My favorite NBA team is the Chicago Bulls, just because I'm a Bears fan. I never really paid attention to the NBA. I still don't really pay all that much attention to it. Henry, you just have to say hi or hello, and Nightbot will say hi. There, see? We did it for Dan. And then Nightbot said hi back, see? That's how you do this. Wow, it just loves Dan. It was working for other people, so that's funny. Someone type pen tool. I want to see what it does. Because Nightbot only works when you're live, so you can't test anything out. I guess it's not working. Oh, okay, so this is a problem. So it rendered out, and we're done. But because there's light, it has to take lighting into effect, so this looks terrible. Okay, I lied. It looks fine. So here we go. Here's the final. This is what we did. So now I can take this, toss it back into Photoshop, and edit it if I want. But I'm going to stop it there. I might tweak around with this a little bit before I post it. Yeah, so this is the final. But I don't like how this looks, so like I'll just throw a little bit of vibrance on it. Oh god, not that much vibrance. Let's convert this to a smart object, filter, camera raw. I just want to dehaze it. Yeah, that's better. That's better. All right, there we go. Okay, well, we're gonna call it a night there. Oh, I need to do that. I did that. All right, we're gonna call it a night there. So this is fun to show. I don't usually go back and forth Cinema 4D to Photoshop. I might do that in the future though, because this looks sweet. But thank you for joining me. Again, if you haven't liked and subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to do this every Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Hopefully we don't have as many issues next time around. But for me, I'm going to call it a night. And as I said before, I appreciate that you were quick to select and choose your time to spend it with me. So